Hi there, and welcome back to rLounge for part 2 of a 2-part series. You know what they say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But what happens when your friends stab you in the back? Who can we trust then? One fake friend can do more harm than 10 enemies. The problem is, we can't tell them apart nowadays. Mother-in-law's friend causes problems for me and her own daughter. I've written a few stories before about my psychopathic mother and how wonderful my mother-in-law is. My ex-husband, Bill, and I have been dealing with quite a lot of stress lately. We took a trip to another state to look at houses and talked with a real estate agent. We finally landed on a place and we're in the initial stages of purchasing a place. Over the last week, Bill and I have talked at length about our relationship. With all of the therapy, we've both been getting lots of encouragement from my in-laws. We decided to get remarried and start over. We decided on another small ceremony, but this time I let my mother-in-law plan it out, so it's going to be in a church. Luckily, their pastor friend agreed to officiate on short notice. I'm not religious, but my in-laws are totally okay with that, and their only request was for me and Bill to get married in a church. I agreed as it's not that big of a deal to me, but everything to them, so I am happy to make them happy. You would think that this is where the happy ending part comes, right? Wrong. My mother-in-law's, now former, friend, Karen, that's actually her effing name and she behaves, looks and thinks just like a typical Karen would, just my effing luck, is throwing a fit over the pettiest of reasons. Karen's daughter, Barbara, not a real name, is supposed to be getting married the same week and in the same church and can't possibly deal with 2 weddings happening on 2 different effing days of the week, and demanded that Bill and I change the date to 2 months later. By that point, me, Bill, and my son will be in another state in our new house, so this is impossible. Karen is also going apeshit over the color scheme. I love red and purple and wanted those colors. Barbara loves red. Barbara couldn't give a fiddler's stringing F that I like the same color as her, and has told me that Karen is a drama queen and tries living vicariously through her own daughter because her own life was absolute crap. Barbara and her own fiancé were no contact with Karen for many years, but decided to let her back in because they are getting married. Barbara and I discovered that we both like a lot of the same things, so we are friends. Barbara was mostly raised by her grandparents, so she's not an entitled crap slinger like Karen. Thank God. Me and her are friends, and we were having fun comparing things about our up-and-coming weddings. Even joked about a double wedding to which Karen threw a colossal fit over. The last few days have been really stressful, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law came to our house crying, saying that she and Karen were no longer on good terms. When I asked why, she told me that while the two of them were discussing some details about the weddings, Karen lost her crap over the flowers. I wanted red roses and whatever purple flowers. I wasn't picky. Choosing beggar, Karen had only paid for half the amount of red roses needed for Barbara's wedding, and when she learned I was getting red roses and demanded mother-in-law give the roses to her, and I could just go with something else, mother-in-law had already laid out a lot for those roses, and told Karen no. Karen, of course, lost her effing mind and accused mother-in-law of trying to destroy Barbara's big day. Father-in-law tried talking Karen down, but Karen began screaming at him, and he and mother-in-law left. After reading so many posts on here about password protecting my wedding services, I'm glad I had the foresight to do the same. Karen had tried calling the floral company, bakery, and even the church to cancel my wedding twice this week, but didn't know the password. I know it was her because she's the only one that doesn't want me to get married in that church and have those flowers or even that cake. Because Karen's mouth works before her brain does, she complained to others about not being able to sabotage my wedding. Barbara, of course, found out and finally had enough with Karen's BS and took control over everything about her wedding, cutting Karen out of any and all planning. Of course, this sent Karen into a full-blown tirade, and she canceled every service she paid for, leaving Barbara and her fiancé, Dave, with nothing for their wedding. After talking with Bill and my in-laws, we invited Barbara and Dave to do that double wedding we had joked about, and the two are ecstatic and accepted. Karen must have expected Barbara to come crawling back with apologies and butt-kissing, because she became certifiably insane and threw the world's largest tantrum when she heard about our new plans. We had agreed to rent our house to Barbara and Dave after we move so they can have a nice place to live, and for now, we are letting them stay in our guest room while we pack. Karen tried breaking in, and because of previous experiences I dealt with, I have a great security system complete with cameras and a Ring doorbell. Karen has since been ordered to stay away and is only allowed at the wedding as a guest and not part of the wedding party. She blames me and mother-in-law for all of this, and that's just fine with us. I told Karen that if she had relaxed and stopped being a crazy witch, that she would get to be part of all the fun things with mother-in-law, Barbara, and I, but her behavior has gotten to the point where no one wants anything to do with her. Karen still calls the services, hoping to strike lucky on one canceling, but she can't guess the password, so our wedding is secure. Mother-in-law and I are becoming so close, she wants me to call her mom. Bill and Dave have become friends, and the four of us are making plans for them to come visit us in the fall after we move. My in-laws are also going to spend Christmas and New Year's with us. Bill and I have already decided that we are going to try to have a baby after we are married and settled into our new home. The wedding is next month. Barbara and I have decided to get matching wedding dresses, but one has a purple sash, the other has red, but we are trading shoes. I will have red shoes with the purple sash, and she will have purple shoes with a red sash, as a token of our blossoming friendship. Edit. So me, Barbara, Dave, and Bill are sitting on the couch eating takeout and watching TV when we heard a loud banging on the door. I checked my Ring doorbell camera on my phone, and guess who's out there? Karen. She's screaming into my doorbell, demanding that Barbara come outside. I just told her that if she doesn't leave, I'm calling the police. Cue the tears and wailing. Karen demanded to know why I was being so mean to her and began pacing back and forth on my porch. By that point, the four of us were watching my phone. The more she paced, the more amped up she was getting. We could hear her talking to herself and getting angrier, until she stopped and grabbed fistfuls of her own hair and began screaming at my front door. She kicked at it and screamed for Barbara to get outside or she would kill her. So I called the police. Police came and arrested her for trespassing and attempted breaking and entering. Barbara and Dave are now going full no contact again and uninvited Karen to the wedding. This happened less than an hour ago. Second edit. While I was finishing it, Bill declared that he wants Dave and Barbara to come live with us in another state, believing that the four of us should lean on each other more than separate at this time. I know I am safe from my own mother, but Karen isn't in jail. She might be after earlier, but I don't know if she will stay there, and could cause some crap at any time. I'm thanking my lucky stars that I gave that man another chance because I cannot imagine a life without him. I can't wait to be his wife again. Can't wait to have kids with him and have a real home with him away from all the insanity in this crap hole of a place. We're also going to be talking to our security team tomorrow about being on their A game in case Karen tries to show up. We're hoping we don't hear anything from her. One more month to go until the wedding. Third edit. Barbara was in the kitchen when her phone started blowing up from an unknown number. It was Karen. According to the voicemail, Karen had bailed herself out and was pissed about getting arrested and is planning on suing me, Bill, Dave, and the cops who came here last night. We all had a laugh about it. Barbara blocked the phone number, and we all went back to what we were doing. We aren't worried. Karen will be laughed out of court. Now the four of us are arguing about what's uglier, vaginas or penises, and it's me and Barbara versus the guys. The hilarity of this conversation. Let's see how the community reacted. Snowy Mountains Bear says, "A great outcome. Congratulations to everyone." Brutally Pleasant says, "That double wedding sounds delightful. Congrats on the wedding, and I love that you're making your wedding into something so generous and full of love." Shatora Dragon says, "To mess with Karen, add a new second password of FU Karen to your vendors, so should she guess right, she still has to guess again. Or be an adult and boring and get a restraining order." Jesus, Karen sounds insane. Clearly there's something wrong there. Poor Barbara. Honestly, it's no surprise that she was raised by her grandmother. It's a good thing that you had everything password protected. Smart move. I'm sure you've learned that from your experiences with your own mother. I can't believe Karen would go so far as to try to cancel your wedding. You and your husband seem like such good people to help Barbara and her partner out, OP. I can't imagine it being easy to have a mother like Karen who tries to ruin what should be one of the best days in someone's life. However, I feel like you have a pretty good understanding of what it means to have a mother who's not necessarily the best mother figure. That's super unfortunate, and I'm so sorry that you both have to deal with that. It's great that you have each other and that you're able to have so much that you can talk to each other about it. Update. Karen tries selling my house and makes a fake Tinder profile for me. I posted a few days ago about my now former best friend trying to steal my husband. We are in the process of getting a no contact order against her and her mother, Karen, so they leave us alone. So far, Karen's harassment has been minor and nothing worth noting. Karen drives by my house several times a day to spy on us and has shown up at restaurants we are eating at and will sit near us and glare at us. We just ignore her and go about our business like she's not even there, even though I do sneakily record her on my phone and she's on the Ring camera. I am crazy about keeping a record of everything. So far, Barbara has been radio silent since the last time she showed up at my house. Dave has been working a lot to try keeping his mind off of the current situation. Bill and I have begun talking about moving, but we can't really bring ourselves to move again. We put so much money into this house, and it is becoming our sanctuary, and we don't want to be chased out of here. My son loves his room, and our nursery is finished in preparation for when I have my second child. We are currently remodeling 2 bathrooms and the kitchen. I love my house, so moving is not an option right now. The last 24 hours, We began getting some strange calls from people asking to set up appointments to come look at the house as they were interested in possibly purchasing it. We told them that we aren't selling the house and to not call back. They were even calling last night while we were sleeping. The last person to call here, we asked them where they heard our house was up for sale. They directed us to Craigslist, where there was an ad for my house. The ad was almost too good to be fake, with pictures of the front of my house, my backyard, and interior pictures from some other house. The ad was listing the house for $1. Insulting, as we put in nearly $200,000 into the house when buying it and another $45,000 just in remodeling that is still ongoing. My husband's business number was posted in the ad. We were able to get the post taken down, but the damage was done, so now we have to tell everyone calling that the ad was fake and we are not selling the house. Most have been understanding, but a few are angry. It's obvious to me and Bill that Karen is the one who posted the ad, as she keeps driving by our house. The backyard picture in the ad was stolen off of my Facebook. I don't know what house the interior pictures belong to, but they do not belong to mine. You can clearly see a backyard in one of the photos and it doesn't even match my backyard. We made a report with the police and that's all we can really do. We have no credible proof Karen is behind it, but we know it's her because it's just too crazy to be a coincidence. We're going to keep documenting everything until we have enough proof to take Karen to court, but so far she is getting away with all of this. The police sympathize, but they have to go with the law. I forgot to mention the fake Tinder profile in my haste to post this. I've been contacted by a few men on Facebook claiming to have come across my profile from Tinder. I'm ignoring it for now. I'm sure this is just Karen trying to cause an issue between me and Bill, but Bill knows I would never make a dating app profile. The community has some more thoughts. Lithius says, at this point you need a lawyer. Her insanity is escalating and you need a cease and desist. If that gets ignored, your lawyer can advise the next move. Makes cops easier to deal with too. Murky Celebration 231 says, it might be worth the money to hire a private detective that specializes in online sort of issues. That way, they can trace by the IP address who posted the Craigslist ad and the Tinder ad. If you can get some evidence, the police then can arrest and then you can prosecute for harassment. I'm pretty sure that will put an end to all this nonsense. The OP replies, I may talk to my husband about that. We would have to look into our finances to see if we can spare that type of money, as I'm sure PIs aren't cheap. The thing about people like my mom and Karen, they always end up shooting themselves in the foot eventually. My hope is that once Karen sees nothing she is doing is getting the results she wants, she'll do something stupid and give herself away. Wait, what? Barbara tried to steal your husband? That came out of left field? I was definitely not expecting that. Like mother, like daughter. Update. Karen had threatened me and got herself arrested. Happy day. Hello, Reddit fam. It's been around 5 months. I would have posted sooner, but with the new baby, my eldest, my job, and everything going on in my life, I just haven't had the time to sit down and post. My eldest son is doing well. My new son is healthy and happy and plumping up on cereal, and we're in the process of switching to baby food. He had colic at 3 months old, which took a lot out of my husband and I. Hardly any sleep, working full shifts at our computers, tending to a baby. My eldest is doing karate, and I'm attempting to keep some semblance of a normal household running smoothly. My husband and I alternate days where we cook dinner while the other cleans up. Sometimes our eldest pitches in to help as an extra pair of hands. It's been a hectic few months. I was wiped. The dark circles under my eyes looked like someone drew them on with a Sharpie. Thankfully, my little one is good now and sleeping through the nights, so we're finally getting some sleep, but the stresses of dealing with my ex-friend Barbara and her crazy mother Karen have definitely taken their toll on us. Bill and I also agreed that it was best if I quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom for a while. Dave has moved out, and we haven't heard from him in a while. We have tried calling, texting, Facebook messaging, but he is MIA. He left while we were out one day and didn't bother leaving a note. I did some snooping and asked his family. They said they weren't sure where he is, but they had heard from him. They said he is okay, just very hurt by the whole ordeal and needs to figure things out for himself. We're giving him time and space and hope he calls us one day. He knows he always has a home with us, but we understand his need to be alone. Barbara ruined him in the divorce and took more from him than just his money and property. He is a broken man. It's not the happy ending we wanted for him. He means the world to us. I posted 5 months ago about Karen and Barbara and their at-the-time shenanigans. Barbara tried stealing my husband, hurting her own husband in the process, moved her psychotic mother Karen into their marital home, and they had been harassing us by putting our house up for sale on Craigslist and creating a fake Tinder profile for me. That is just a condensed version of the events that occurred. We did look into getting a PI, but they were too out of our budget to afford. Thankfully, Bill made some friends in the police department through their shared love of football and bowling. They began hanging out at the house more, and they were catching Karen and Barbara driving by and being on their crap like usual. A few instances to mention. The 4th of July. The neighbors hosted a block party on my street. There was a barbecue, music, and water activities for the kids. Once it was getting pretty dark, the kids got to play with sparklers and poppers. I was on the porch with my newborn while my husband and eldest were joining in on the fun. Karen's car comes around the corner and comes to a screeching halt. She starts blaring the horn, making everyone get out of the street. She was shouting out of the car at me as she was driving by. It was awkward and sucked the fun out of the whole party. Barbara showed up to the house trying to get in to see Bill. Our security cameras caught her moving around the outside of the house trying to find a way inside. We kept every door and window locked. Eventually, she began coming and sitting on the porch, almost daily for a few hours before leaving. I started noticing that she was looking more and more disheveled with every visit. I've been hearing through the grapevine in my circle of friends that she had been using drugs. I was at the grocery store with my newborn picking up the usual groceries. I noticed Karen was there, but tried not to give her any attention. My newborn was in his car seat in the cart. I noticed Karen was following me around the store. Any aisle I went into, she would quickly follow. I made sure to keep my newborn in my line of sight at all times. I was on high alert. I made it to the bread aisle and parked my cart. As I was grabbing the usual bread items, I felt the hairs on the back of my neck prickling. I look over, and Karen is across the aisle, glaring at me and my newborn. I quickly put the bread into my cart and continued shopping. I made sure to grab the can of pepper spray that I keep in my purse. Once Karen saw it, she backed off. Once I checked out, I asked an employee to escort me out to my car. Karen followed me home, but only drove by. It was caught on the security camera. That is just to name a few. The police officers my husband is friends with vouched for us in court, and we were able to secure a protective order against Karen and Barbara. They weren't allowed to come within 1,000 feet of us, our home, or my husband's main office building, and my son's school. If they see us out in public, they can't come near us. My husband was hopeful they would finally leave us alone. Me, not so much. I knew a piece of paper wasn't enough to stop them from harassing us. They know we have cameras. They know Bill is friends with police officers. They just don't seem to care. Karen was finally arrested though, and I'm here to share the whole ordeal. I know this post is already long, but if you want to know, feel free to keep reading. I'm trying to grow a vegetable garden. As we are trying to stay on a budget, having a vegetable garden would go a long way in cutting our grocery bill down by a good amount. It's not that we don't have any money, it's that we're trying to be frugal and save money for a family trip to Europe when my youngest is older. Since I quit my job, our income isn't as high as it was. I go out once a day to check on it. It was looking promising and I was very proud of it because I used to have a black thumb. I couldn't even keep a cactus alive. I got a notification on my phone that something tripped the motion sensor in my backyard camera. I looked at my phone and Karen was in my yard destroying my vegetable garden. I called the police. Bill and I watched her rage out on my garden. We heard her scream something that she was going to bring a gun and shoot me in front of my kids and my husband. We watched as the police came into the backyard with their guns drawn. I swear, I could see the color drain from her face when she saw them. She began running, doing that audible moaning like she was terrified for her life. She tried to jump the fence, but an officer was able to grab her. She resisted, screaming that she was being assaulted by these poor cops. I laughed because that is such a Karen thing to do. I'm pressing charges. I also called Barbara's workplace and told them about her drug use because I am now okay with being petty, and I hope she hits rock bottom, face first. Things are now quiet. No more daily drive-bys. Barbara hasn't come back. But after everything, we decided it was best to move again. We're moving to a different town and downgrading to a smaller house. We're selling what we can't take with us just to have extra money. We're going to be converting our new basement into the office spaces. So after the sale of our current house, a chunk of the money will go into that renovation. I couldn't be happier with the downgrade. As much as I love my current house, I don't want to live here anymore. I just want to move on with our lives and start fresh again. I know Karen won't be in jail forever, but at least she will be while we're moving and won't know where we've gone. Sorry it took so long to update you guys. If anything happens, I'll be sure to let you all know. DOP adds in, I talked to a friend of mine who was a supervisor where Barbara worked. My report prompted an investigation. Barbara had to undergo a surprise drug test and she tested positive for heroin and fentanyl, meth, and Xanax. She was quickly fired and reported to the police. I talked to a mutual friend of ours who said she has been crashing on couches and eluding police. Karen had been buying the drugs for Barbara to keep her compliant. Other friends are trying to get her to go to rehab, but she refuses. Maybe some time away from Karen will make her get her act together. I also want to give some info on what happened with Dave and his divorce. He stopped paying the mortgage and bills entirely. His credit score took a major hit and the house went into foreclosure. As bad as that sounds, Dave couldn't have been more happy with the outcome. The judge refused to grant Barbara spousal support because she committed adultery. She had cheated on Dave multiple times before trying to hook up with my husband. The proof was found on Barbara's laptop during the divorce. The $300K his grandparents gave to him went into buying him a new car and other things he needed. He tried offering us money many times, but we always refused, telling him to not worry because he's like family to us and he didn't owe us anything. He was very depressed and often kept to himself. He went to work, came home, and stayed in his room most of the time. That was his daily routine, but we respected his needed time to heal. When he left, we were pretty shocked. I spoke to his family again this morning. They said he's doing fine and booked a flight across the country to start over. He sold his car and packed what he could into one suitcase. The money he has left over will make things easier for him to start his new life. They said he does want to call us, but he just needs time to process everything and did apologize for leaving so suddenly. We obviously forgive him and hope to hear from him soon. One quick community reaction from a herd of fluff. If you haven't already, you might want to consider creating an LLC to purchase your house under so it won't come up attached to your name in a search, just in case crazy gets even stupider and tries to find you after the move. Oh my goodness, this is actually kind of sad to hear that Barbara really took the wrong turn in life. I'm shocked to hear that she cheated on Dave and tried to make a move on your husband. How did you and your husband do after that? I know it hasn't been easy for both of you. And Barbara, it seemed like she was on her way to a really great life with her husband. It makes me wonder if she couldn't really help herself. Maybe perhaps it runs in the family? Poor Dave. I'm so sorry you got caught in the middle of all this and are deciding to move again. As rough as it is, it's definitely for the best. Watch your back while you're moving. You definitely don't want these people knowing where you live. I wouldn't even tell anyone right away where you're moving or anybody that could potentially spill the beans. You don't need crazy following you. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel as blindsided as I do? As always, thank you for joining us today. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below. See you soon.